It's like staring at demons. Meet a man who lives with a disturbing condition. Antonio Mello. CNN. For 59-year-old Victor Shara, a terrifying symptoms began on the winter day in Nashville. I just woke up and was just sitting on the couch watching TV when my roommate came into the room, and looking at him, I'm like, what I am seeing. Then his girlfriend walked in and her face was the same, Shara told CNN. Each of each of the once familiar faces had a grotesque grimace, elongated eyes, and deeply itchy scars. When turned to the side, pointy ears suddenly appeared, he said, much like those of Spock, the Vulcan first officer on the USS Enterprise in Star Trek. I tried to explain to my roommate what I was seeing, and he thought I was not. Then I went outside, and all of the faces of people I saw were distorted and still are, Shara said. It's like staring at demons, he added. Imagine waking up one morning and suddenly everybody in the world looks like a creature in the horror movie. Sarah has the rare condition called pros prosautometamorphosia, or PMO, in which part of the faces of other people appear distorted in shape, texture, position, or color. Object and other parts of the person's body, however, typically remain undisturbed. I helped create a computer-generated 2D picture of what I see in faces, but there is so much more to it, said Sarah, speaking about research on his case that was published in the Clinical Pictures section of the Lancet Thursday. What people don't understand from the picture is that the distorted face is moving, contorting, talking to you, making facial gestures, he added. It does kind of distance me from other people a bit. I try not to let it because I know what it is, each PMO. Yet I still feel like I'm not getting as close to people as I used to. For Shara, the faces he sees have the same basic distortions, but movement changes his perception. Or types of distortions. Proso Metamorphosia is different from face blindness, the condition shared by actor Brad Pitt. Former Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper renowned the neurologist Dr. Oliver Sacks, Sweden's crown Princess Victoria, and perhaps as many as 1 in 50 people in face blindness. Faces are not distorted, instead, the brain simply has trouble recognizing faces, even familiar faces, making nearly everyone a stranger. With PMO, however, a person will often have little trouble recognizing a loved one or familiar face, yet that face will be distorted, often in predictable ways. For me, the basic distortions are the same for each person, with the lines in the face, the stretching of the eyes and mouth, and the pointy ears, Shara said. But the size and shape of a person's face or head and how they move can be different and change just how distorted they might be. Some people with PMO see their own faces as distorted or even damaged. Two patients, while standing in front of the mirror, saw one eye pumping out of each socket and slithering down the cheek. according to the April 2023 Review of Literature. For others with a condition like Victor, the entire face of another person appears misshapen, much like a funhouse mirror. According to the description in another published case study, others see only half the faces as cooked or malformed. After a tumor was removed from the left side of his brain, one patient described the right side of his doctor's face, in which the eye became the ghastly, staring a hole, cheekbone a cavity. He had teeth on the upper lip, often had 2 ears. Others with PMO have eloquently described the faces as like clocks in the Dali painting or kaleidoscopically changing. Still others have seen faces morph into dragons or fish heads or ears pop out of the top of people's head. Some patients report seeing shortened arms attached to faces, people's eyes leaving the skull and rotating in front of it, or third eyes in the middle of people's foreheads. The woman who saw dragons began seeing them as a child, so their development cases of PMO in which people grow up with the condition and don't know that faces are supposed to look different, said Brad Duchain, a professor of psychological and brain sciences at Dartmouth College in Hanover, New Hampshire. Only 81 cases of PMO exist in published literature, according to a June 2021 review, but there are likely many more people living with the condition, said Duchain, the senior author on the Lancet case study. We started the website so people can learn about PMO, and we've heard from at least 80 people so far. He said, and we are finding that people from around the world are reporting the same symptoms without knowing anything about others with the condition. In certain situations, other body parts can be different, such as the back of the woman's head, Shara. We saw little knowledge available. Many people with PMO can be diagnosed with schizophrenia or other similar hallucinatory conditions and put on antipsychotic medications or even institutionalized, said Antonio Victor Ley Gonzalez Mello, a doctoral student in psychological and brain sciences at Dartmouth, who is the first author on the case study. However, science now knows that people can develop the PMO after brain injury, tumor, or infection, or after seizures such as in epilepsy. He said, a piece of good evidence is that in more than 50% of cases with half face distortions, for example, the patient has a lesion to the particular part of the brain, Mello said, in those cases, we are confident they are not making it up. So when other people come along and report very similar experience, it seems unlikely that they are not being truthful. Evil, tweeted and demented. Diagnosed with bipolar disorder as a teen, Sarah struggled with mental illness that intensified into post-traumatic stress disorder called PTSD after a stint in the U.S. Marine Corps. I was in Beirut on October 23, 1983, but when they bombed our barracks, and anytime something goes wrong in my life, my biggest battle is with suicidal psychosis. It's the first place my brain turns, he said. As part of his coping, Sarah had been a long-time member of Facebook suicide support group, increasingly fearful of what was happening to him after distortions began. He posted his symptoms online. I feel like I'm shutting down, like I'm dying inside. Every face I see that's not on the screen looks evil. That's not on the screen looks evil, twitch it and demand it. I mean, literally looks like something from the John Carpenter movie he wrote in January 2020. I'm growing cold, hateful, and uncaring. I don't know how to stop it. Maybe it's too late. In Casper, Wyoming, Casey Morris was waiting for the meeting to start and just happened to check Facebook, where she was a volunteer for the same suicide support group. Having worked in schools with the visually impaired for over 30 years, she was familiar with how people sometimes see visual distortions based on how their brains perceive the different colors and the intensities of light. I saw his post pop up and I thought, what do I do? I can reach out and maybe I can help him, but I don't want to give him false hope, Morris said. I told him that he had to promise me one thing. While we're working together, he couldn't hurt himself. Morris knew from her training that such distortions could be triggered by a specific area of the brain called the pushiform gyrus, which is responsible for the face perception, object recognition, and reading light distortion. So the solution she thought might be finding a particular color or intensity of light that might reduce his symptoms. I've bought one of the multicolored light bulb with the app that Kathleen was able to control from Wyoming, Shara said. Then we got on the video call and did a whole bunch of our own tests. Afraid for his mental health, Morris had asked Shara for his phone number and address before the test, because if he became too upset I was calling 911, then she had him look into a mirror while she manipulated the colors of light. When I got to the wrong color of light, the red light that intensified the distortions, I watched it happen. He started to have the full-on panic attack. He withdrew from the screen and the expression on his face was quite horrified, Morris said. I told him to shut his eyes and remember that this wasn't real. His brain was tricking him, she said. Then I moved the light to green and asked him to open his eyes. He did, and the distortion was gone. And he just sat there and bawled like a baby. Buoyed by their success, Morris ordered a pair of glasses tinted with the proper shade of green, knowing that Shara was soon due to see his estranged daughter and meet his grandchildren for the first time. She sent him rush delivery, and they arrived the morning he met his granddaughters. She said he got to meet them for the first time and they looked normal. Treatment and education is the goal. Today, Shara is working closely with the Duchesne and Mello at their Dartmouth lab, helping test various interventions to ease or reverse the symptoms of PMO. The research had duplicated the benefits of a green lens in countering countering Shara's symptoms and found that manipulating colors in lens helped others with PMO as well, although the colors that worked might differ. Another promising treatment showing people with PMO completely symmetrical faces, which appears to reduce the distortion. If that stands up to more testing, perhaps the glasses can be made to help people see faces more symmetrically, Mello said. But one of the biggest breakthroughs came when the team realized that Shara did not see distortions on 2D images. Most of the participants with the PMOC will see the distortions to faces in real life and faces on images, which has kept us from being able to capture exactly what they see. Morrow said, with Victor, we were able to see have him describe the real person's face while also looking at an image of them that we manipulated until it reflected the distortions he saw. The research is wonderful work, and the first time that the accurate illustration of PMO has been captured, said psychiatrist Dr. Jan Dirk Bloom, who has the outpatient clinic for uncommon psychiatric symptoms at Parnassia Psychiatric Institute in the Hague, Netherlands. For Shara, the research is a way that he might help save another person from being misdiagnosed by doctors unaware of the rare syndrome. I almost had myself committed to the mental hospital, and one of the people who reached out to Dartmouth was institutionalized for psychosis. How many other people are institutionalized and being put on antipsychotics when they are not psychotics?